Hello, friend. Thanks for pressing play on this episode of the Brassy Broadcast. This is the last episode in our series of Enlightenment in the Modern World. I'm Jen Edds, the head broad in charge at the Brassy Broadcasting Company, and I've been joined in this series by the wonderful, fabulous Amy Woodall. Amy, welcome back to the studio.
Well, thank you.
We're talking about expanding energy in this episode. What exactly does that mean?
2 o'clock rolls around, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. You know, we've mentioned this in a past episode, but we're reaching for, give me a cup of coffee, give me a cat nap. I'm going to pull a Costanza and sleep underneath my desk. Trust me, I've thought about pulling in a pillow and blanket. I have a perfect spot for it under my desk too. And we just, we can feel zapped, tired. And energy is important because it's what really either causes us to show up in a great way and be able to give something back to other people, or it causes us to shut down and feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing this, or I don't, So it's something that it's important for us to pay attention to and also understand what are some of the techniques and tricks that we can utilize to shift it, because it's not always, about sleep. It's not always about getting a good night's rest. Now, that is important, but there are other techniques beyond sleep that can help re-energize you. So in the last episode, we referenced a little bit of how energy is so contagious and that you can feel it from other people if they're in a good mood or a bad mood, and you can just sense it. And it can be something that is contagious. It can disrupt our day if somebody else comes home, specifically if the person you love comes home and they're in a crappy mood.
Oh, and you can tell when they walk in the door.
It's body language. You can feel the energy, and it just shifts the dynamic of the household. And the same thing happens at work. There's, folks work in close quarters, and now this idea of open office space is really big, right? There's not even like the cubicles anymore. It's just wide open office space. So like everybody's energy is just sort of like ruminating around one another. And so if it's bad, it's bad. And if it's good, it can be helpful. But again, like we talked about triggers in the last episode, what are some of your energy depleters? Well, just paying attention to that. What sucks the energy out of you, Jen?
For me, as much as I love it, and I love being in front of a crowd of people and playing guitar and singing songs and performing, I feel so drained after playing 2 to 3 hours that I'm just exhausted even into the next day. And I feel like, granted, there's somewhat of a physical exertion in that, but I feel like so much of it is energetic, because I feel like you want to give them so much of you that there's that piece that gets depleted.
When you're in performance mode, you are in this extreme state of giving your energy to other people and just sort of like giving it your all that you are. You're pouring out a lot of the energy that you have. And you're not alone. Listen, I speak and train and I love it. I get so in the flow. But when I'm done, when I'm like physically like, dude, I need a nap. I'm so tired, really ready to pull that Costanza underneath my desk, so exhausted. And using some meditation techniques or some mindfulness techniques can help increase the energy. And I know that seems like it should be the opposite, because oftentimes we think meditation helps sort of de-stress. We've talked about that, calm us down, get us into a more peaceful state, but it can be used to energize us as well. And so just understanding, recognizing when it happens, and then knowing that you have some of those techniques in your back pocket is really important. But for anybody that's listening now, consider what are the things that drain you. And it's not uncommon that if we have to focus on something that's not natural to our style, it can be more depleting to our energy as well. So for example, I am not a very task-oriented person. So if I have to focus heavily on a task completion, by the end of it, I'm going to be pretty exhausted because it takes a lot of energy for me to be good at that. Where if I'm around people, I tend to be energized when we're done. Do you have that same? That come to mind for you? How do you feel like editing in this stuff? It can be kind of tedious. Does it give you energy or take it away?
Most of the time it takes away, because again, it is that focus on that task. And so I have to set my timer on my phone for 30 minutes just so I will sit my butt in the chair and complete the task. And then I get the reward of like getting up and taking the dog out, or, getting some more coffee, especially if it's like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Does that sound familiar at all?
In one of the episodes, we talked about twice a day meditation and why that's important. And I gave the example of the water bottle, that if you're pouring it out throughout the day, by the end of it, it's empty. And sleep is only going to give you so much to refill it. So the meditation, practicing that meditation helps fill it up the rest of the way to the top so that you can feel like a sane person again. Now, I will say there's other factors, right? What we eat has a big role in how we feel. And I didn't recognize that until I really did get to a place where I was more mindful. And there's certain things that I can't eat because it has an adjustment on that. Exercising or whatever your form, another outlet for you. You love yoga. I love weightlifting. Dude, I feel like I need to flex some muscles on that one. Those are some different outlets that can change the energy. And then again, back to sort of quieting the mind and having some practice there definitely helps just refuel the energy. And you might not feel it immediately, but give it 10 or 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden you'll feel like you had a cat nap and you're like, man, all right, I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's go.
I love it. I'm going to start 2-a-days.
Yes, you're committing?
2-a-days meditation. Yeah. Like why at this point, 7 episodes into this, why wouldn't I?
So that's a good challenge. We'll have to figure out a good accountability challenge too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm going to pinky swear it right now.
Okay, we're pinky swearing. All right.
2-a-days for me.
2-a-days. Set the alarm on your phone and just make it a non-negotiable that says no matter what, where I'm going to do it. A lot of people get hung up on meditating in public. I meditate in public all the time. Who
Do
cares?
you really?
Yeah. I don't care what people, it's just you're sitting there with your eyes closed. It's not like I'm, levitating or anything like that. I don't have those kind of magic powers, but I've done it when I'm getting my oil changed. I do it in my car. I keep waiting for someone to come and knock on the window just to see if I'm dead. I do it a lot of times before I go in the gym because I feel tired. I don't want to do it. I feel like I have no energy. And so I'll do a quick, meditation to just reamp the energy so I can get my workout done. It's better than the coffee, I will say, because the coffee has a crash. And not only that, coffee, it takes away from the hydration that your body feels. If we're dehydrated, we're going to feel more tired. All of these things come into play. And so something that we think helps us actually does not in the long run. Caffeine is not really great for us, despite what our body thinks. But, this whole idea of meditation and drink more water and get more sleep and eat good stuff. I wish that there was some magic pill, but that's the stuff that really works.
What's a technique that we can use to get re-energized?
If listeners go back to one of the previous episodes that we did in the shutdown stress, we did the fire breathing. And so that's one that you can utilize if you want a burst of energy, but we're going to practice a different one for this one. So if you're driving, pull over and make sure that your hands are not on the wheel and your eyes, are not closed while driving. And do this from a safe perspective. For this one, we're going to use our fingers. So guys, you cannot see, but I have my thumb and I also have my pointer finger sort of standing up because we're going to use both of these fingers in this breathing exercise. And this is one where we're going to alternate which nostril we breathe in and out of. So this is good for not only energizing, but also refocusing. It helps to access the right and the left brain so that they're both working. And that's the logical brain and the creative brain. And we're at our best when both of those babies are kind of pumping through. Fun fact, by the way, meditating on a regular basis does help strengthen the right and left brain. And so we're just happen to be more logical and creative at the same time. We're using more of our brain's capacity when we do that. So have you ever tried this technique before?
I have, but it's been a while.
Okay. So I'm going to talk you guys through it because it's a little bit harder, to sort of explain. It's easier to see. So what you will do is use your thumb to close the right side of your nostril if you're right-handed. And you're going to take a deep breath in through your left nostril and you're going to hold. And then you're going to use your pointer finger to then close your left nostril and breathe out of your right. Exhale out of your right nostril. And then inhale out of your right nostril. And then switch those fingers and exhale out of your left. Inhale in the left. Hold, switch, exhale out of the right. Inhale, switch, and repeat that a few times. Exhaling, and then inhaling out of one, making the switch, and then exhaling out of the opposite. And you can do that with your eyes open or your eyes closed. And it is one that helps refocus and re-energize. I recommend 5 minutes of this exercise. It's a good way to just give yourself a break and focus on. The thing with this one is that you really have to focus on what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's harder to get the trail of thoughts that happen because you're so focused on the action, which is also a way of mindfulness, staying in the moment, relieving the stress and increasing the energy. So it's a fun, easy technique to practice for anyone. And you can even teach your kids this. If you want to teach your kids how to practice this before they go into a test, before they go into, a game or something that just helps get their brain ready and their energy ready as well.
I feel re-energized.
Good.
That's incredible. And I love that because my hands have something to do, I can totally see how this will focus me. Like this is what's going to get me started because I know that I need that refocus time. So rather than the coffee, I'm going to do this for 5 minutes and then get back to editing or whatever creative task is at hand.
I'm excited for you. I can't wait to hear the difference that you notice in your energy levels after practicing this.
You know what? I'm going to let you know on LinkedIn.
That's a great avenue.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us for this series. Amy Woodall, thank you so much for being 3-time guest on the Brassy Broadcast, but going so far over and above to actually create this series.
Thank you. I have so much passion for the power that practicing this has in people's life, both personally and professionally. So I really hope the listeners took some good nuggets away.
I'm sure that they will let you know on LinkedIn because that is the best way to connect with both of us. Send us a message or share an episode and tag us in that. And do not bogart this wisdom. Pass it along to somebody else that needs to hear this message. It's really easy to share episodes from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Thank you for joining us for this series. Get out in the world and do some good now.